what's going on YouTube? I'm going to do kind of a short video today and show you, I got laundry doing right now. I'm going to show you a quick video on my new sink. Quite different sink, very large. It looks good. It feels great. I've had the new sink now for more than a few months. It's been a while. And I've also had the garbage disposal probably about the same amount of time. I think I had one of them about a month before the other one. And actually the faucet I actually purchased new last year just because it matched the kitchen or the bathroom sink and the bathroom faucet, both of which had been purchased and one of them installed last year. I'm still waiting to do the other one and a video on that because that plumbing I kind of ran into some issues. Also ran into issues with this, and after I show you, kind of give you a rundown, I'll explain the issues that I've had and the problems that have exposed themselves. So let's get started. I wanted something more or less kind of like a farm sink. What I had in the past was most definitely like the double sink, and it was it was the same depth. It was 9-inch depth, and I have a dishwasher, so I really didn't feel the use of or the need of having two different sinks or two, I guess, separated sinks. I kind of just wanted something open. I feel like that would kind of show an enlargement in the kitchen, make it feel a little bigger, I guess. So last year, if you remember, or maybe a year or so ago, I installed, there used to be 4 outlets here. And I took one of the outlets out because all I have here is a toaster and a coffee pot, neither of which hardly ever get used anymore. However, I decided to install a 3-gang switch here. One of them runs the light that you see above. The other one, I wanted to run the lights up underneath the counter. And the other one, I saved for a special occasion. And it works. So, excuse the mess. They're kind of doing this video at random. I wanted to do this a few weeks ago, and I got back from Dallas, and shit got busy, and I've been working long hours since. So, if you can see, this is the new sink. This thing is deep. I mean, it's pretty deep. It feels metal. It feels pretty solid, but this thing is actually, I think it's more like a really, really hard plastic, or what do you call it, polyurethane. And I apologize for the shaking around. The only thing that I don't like is when I went with the new valves for the sink, I actually had to change those up. So when I went with the new valves, I did not realize that they actually had a smaller port. And if I would have noticed that during time of purchase, I never would have bought them. I would have gone a different route and installed a whole separate different valve, which I figured, I think $4 or $5 I think I bought them at. I can change it later on. I'm just not happy with it for right now. So anyway, this sink works great, and the garbage disposal that I installed is extremely quiet. I haven't timed how long it takes to fill it up, which I kind of need to do or want to do so I can make a comparison later on. But it takes a little while, even with both the hot and the cold running. It still takes a while. And also, to drain the sink alone takes about 2 minutes, takes almost 3 minutes to drain the sink, which I thought was kind of odd. So before I did the swap on this sink, I kind of looked at the P-trap on the other one, and there was a gigantic mess up underneath this whole sink. There was one drain led to the other one, and then all that led to a really long sweep P-trap I thought was unnecessary. And upon investigation, I took it all apart. Man, I come back from Vegas, there's a foul odor. I come back from Dallas and Denver, and there's a foul odor, and I cannot figure out why for the life of me. So I did some investigation, and come to find out the P-trap had like a line of scum, muck, and filth on it. Pretty thick. So I took the initiative, took it all off, cleaned everything up really good, bleached everything down, and kind of peeked into the wall. That didn't really look too bad. It kind of looked like the P-trap had a lot of gunk in it. Also, the dishwasher drain was actually plumbed at the bottom of the drain going out. So basically, anything that flushed down the sink went right back into the dishwasher, and I never could for the life of me figure out why that thing had such a foul odor. It's odd. So let me show you underneath. Now, when I first opened all this up and got into doing the sink and everything, the sink really, it lacked a lot of space, and there was a lot of space that was unnecessarily used in the process of whoever installed this prior to me coming to it. The valve, or the 3/4 inch line or the 1/2 inch line coming out of the wall, came out about 8 inches, almost 9 inches. Unnecessary. It's only 3/4 in depth to get to the elbow from which leads to the wall. There was no need for any of that. So I stubbed it down to a little short nipple and then screwed a valve on. Everything works great. You can still access, if for some reason anything happens, you can still access all that stuff and take it all apart with a pipe wrench in case something kind of locks up. Once again, the only trouble that I did run into is the garbage disposal was almost at the same height as the drain going into the wall. So it's got a very slight downgrade, which I figured later on may or may not change depending on what I'm gonna have to do to replace some of this stuff. Like I said, I'll tell that story in the background later. So without further ado, let me give you a shot. Now, the garbage disposal ran about $100. It's a 1/2 horsepower. It is a Moen, and it really doesn't take up that much room. And I figure, as cheap as it was, it's pretty quiet. I've heard some of them are much louder than this, and there's some of them that are much quieter, and that was up to like $400. I was not going to spend $400 on a garbage disposal. So as you can see, the line coming in kind of downgrade or just at a slight slope, just enough to go into the P-trap, and there usually holds a little bit of water. I think the water level sits about right in here somewhere. It sits pretty level. So it's just enough to get it out of the garbage disposal and into the drain. This way nothing is sitting and rusting inside that disposal. The other thing that I did like is, let me see if I can flip you around here. And so back here, this line right here is actually tied into the dishwasher. So everything that goes from the dishwasher goes into the top of the disposal. This way, if it needs to be, it can be disposed of and chopped before it's sent down the drain. And I did take the time and hardwire this, and I took the time to also take the wire up and out of the way, as before I did not have a disposal. And this, I guess your extension sprayer, your nozzle there, in the past was looped all around here. It was hanging over everything. The valves took up a lot of space. You had to shuffle everything around it. The hoses were bent way out here, so it actually kind of interfered with anything that you shoved down here. And then of course you see the P-trap set up. The only thing that I have run into now is with the disposal running, for some odd reason or another, this thing likes to shoot water out from the wall. Now there is PVC back there, and I'm not sure if that is a split in the PVC in the pipe itself or what the situation is, but there should be no reason for it to be shooting or spraying any type of water out from the wall. So I kind of feel like that there may or may not be a problem with ventilation. Also, if I got the time, I'll explain that I was going to replace some of the plumbing. So the line coming from this north wall, working its way south, is still cast iron. It's a 2-inch cast iron. And I wanted to do that new PVC, and I wanted kind of a nice gradual flow, as this one just kind of plummets. And it ties into a 4-inch. That's pretty normal. And that 4-inch is also cast iron still yet. There's a few pieces that are PVC, but the rest of it is old cast iron and light aluminum almost, or brass fittings. So all that stuff really needs to be redone as well. And the commode in the bathroom actually needs to be relocated. It's sitting yay far away from the wall. It's just not jiving, and I could gain a little bit of extra space in there. So Upon investigation, obviously the sink drain is not working, so I sent myself down there to investigate. I don't know why the sink is spewing water out from the wall when you fill up the sink and then drain it and use the disposal to kind of flush everything down. I really thought that doing the new sink and the new P-trap was really going to help speed up the drainage on this. And so far, the fastest drain that I have in this house is the toilet and the bathroom sink. The bathtub completely needs to be redone. It is an extremely slow drain. But it also goes into an old canister style trap, and that needs to get out of there. So my plan was, obviously, I was going to rip out the cast iron from the sink, camera up in there, investigate any clogs, anything that needed to be kind of redone, and then I was going to go up top and redo up there. However, I ran into another situation. Upon preparation for this, I had a couple days off where I was not going to be going to work, and we were all caught up at work, so I had like a couple hours to get this done. And I didn't have any help, so I was trying to hustle, and I began digging up the 4-inch main, attempting to get it exposed. That way, when I made purchase of the 4-inch, I could just chop this old stuff out, lay the new line, put the boot on, zip zap, done. Go up top in the bathroom, relocate the toilet, which is just a matter of pulling out one board, drilling a hole in a new one, and installing that board, and installing some other new fittings and things like that. And then also in preparation, I'm wanting to add on to the back of the house for a washer and dryer and a hot water heater. This way everything is on floor level. And on the 2-inch, I was going to add in a long sweep 2-inch to catch the washer from, so it could drain. And upon doing that, upon exposing the 4-inch, they're probably 10 or 12 inches worth. It starts out about a 1/16 and it works all the way up to nearly 3/4 inch, I think, maybe 1/2 inch for sure, a 1/2 inch. But there's a split and it's open, completely open on the top. So if I were to go down there, I can look in, you can flush the commode or the sink or anything like that, and I would be able to see the water traveling down the line. Well, that might explain why sometimes the basement has a foul odor to it. It's not horrible, it's just foul. It's kind of like, ooh, that's kind of smells like some moldy water or some water that's been setting. So upon that, I also wanted to dig up underneath the foundation of the house and at least get that exposed to the outside world and make sure that I exit outside the home at least a foot or so with PVC before calling that good enough and tying in, because the garage is 4-inch PVC and I'm sure it ties into the house. I just don't know where they stopped with the PVC out there, so I'm going to have to trench that. If it's outside the garage, then I don't mind going an extra, I think it's 13 feet, give or take. I would assume that'd be about 36 feet that I would need in total. Upon starting this project, when I installed this sink and then went up underneath the house, was going to install new PVC, I found out they didn't have any locally. And they didn't have any in A-Town either. So I ran into a bigger problem. There's a nationwide shortage of 4-inch PVC in the Schedule 40. I thought to myself, I could use the Schedule 80. It's not under any pressure. There's no nada. There's no problems. There shouldn't be any issues at all using Schedule 80. I mean, it's a little thinner, but it shouldn't have any pressure on it, right? And I thought, well, I mean, an extra couple bucks, you might as well just use Schedule 40 and kind of be done with it. Locally, a 20-foot stick of PVC at Schedule 40, if they have it, it runs about $98 and some change. I think it's about $98.26, something like that. And they actually at the time did not have any 2-inch either. They had about 6 foot worth, and that's all they had to offer. Well, that's not going to do me any good. And that's a major bummer, because I really didn't want to do this project when it's 110 degrees outside, and I don't want to do it when it's 15 degrees outside neither. Moderate to light warm weather around 60s, 70s in the afternoon would suit fine. And then from there, I would be able to tie in, I bought parts to be able to tie in my dryer to the outside world. This way I don't have the the lint from the dryer going all over the underneath the house, and some of that actually cleaned up. I filled up a few buckets worth of junk from underneath the house, gravel that doesn't need to be in there, because anytime you bury any type of line PVC, whether it's carrying water or if it's an empty pipe for sewage, you don't want any hard style debris. No concrete chips, no chips of bricks, no bricks in there, no nothing. I mean, if anything, if you're going to use bedding, sand works best, or kitty litter works great, whatever, to really pack that in there and give it some good firm foundation, and then you can bury everything on top, in which there's only about probably 8 to 10 feet that's actually buried. And when I say buried, some of it's only like 1/16 of an inch, and then the rest of it's only like that deep. So it's really not that bad. I just used a shovel, a little garden scoop, shoved all that to the side. Basically, all I have to do is get in there, cut my old cast iron out, hack it up, or just set it off to the side, hack the rest of the junk out, and then replumb everything. I don't have any of the fittings. I haven't priced any of those, although they're not that expensive. I just kind of browsed around. That piece there is only $4. This piece here is only $12. That's not that big of a deal. I had the money to do it at the time, and I was really wanting to get it done. However, I thought I would show you this new sink. Like I said, this thing, it holds, I would bet this thing holds like 15 gallons. No joke. Like, you could nearly take a bath in this, without a doubt. But I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks fantastic. It kind of matches the dishwasher, although I may end up actually buying a new dishwasher later and a new stove. Mainly because I have OCD and I want all my appliances to somewhat be similar in color. I think would be fantastic. And the one burner on the stove is actually burn up. The only way I can use that is if I intend on or need that thing all the way on. So even if I put it on level 1 versus level 10, it's running level 10. Doesn't matter. So I have to be careful when cooking, or if I'm going to use that burner or whatnot. So also, I don't know if you noticed, and I did fail to mention, I did do new handles. These are kind of like a brushed bronze color, which actually I thought somewhat matched the sink here, and I went that route. Other than that, I have some more updates coming eventually, and that's about where I'm at now. I have yet to be able to climb up on the roof. I've got a friend of mine that does have a camera, so as soon as he comes over with the camera and I get some extra time, we can investigate further and find out what this sink is doing. Until then, I kind of refrain from using the disposal as much as possible, in which reality, I don't really dispose of that much. But in the past, obviously, not having a disposal caused issues as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time.